There's this common misconception that women only want a man who walks tall, talks big, and exudes confidence in a loud, visible way. The kind of bravado we see glamorized in movies, the man who enters the room and commands attention, but what women truly crave runs deeper than the surface. It's not just about how you carry yourself, but how you carry her emotionally. The truth is, one of the hidden secrets women crave yet rarely verbalize is emotional security. And I don't just mean being a nice guy. I'm talking about a man who creates an emotional environment where she feels safe being herself, free of judgment, free of competition, free of having to prove her worth. You see, the modern woman is navigating a world where she is constantly expected to be strong, to be composed, to have it all together. So when she meets a man who allows her to relax emotionally, who doesn't weaponize her vulnerability or retreat when she expresses discomfort, that man becomes magnetic to her in a way she may not even understand. She won't always say it. In fact, she might push you away when she starts to feel herself softening. Why? Because the world teaches women not to trust emotional comfort. It feels too rare, too fragile. But internally, her desire deepens for the man who remains emotionally grounded, especially in moments when she can't be. Emotional security isn't loud. It's steady. It doesn't mean having all the answers, but it does mean being consistent in your energy, clear in your intentions, and calm in your responses. That's where trust is born. That's where desire begins to quietly take root. Now here's the nuance. Emotional security isn't about fixing her problems. It's about holding space for her to feel without feeling dismissed. It's about making her feel seen when the world keeps telling her to hide. It's about not recoiling when she shows you the parts of her that aren't polished or pleasant. And when a man can do that consistently, he becomes unforgettable. Because whether she says it or not, a woman remembers how a man made her feel, not just on the best days, but on the hard ones. When she could be messy, unsure, even angry, and you didn't fold under pressure or feed the chaos, but anchored her with calm presence. That's when you become the man she can't help but crave. So if you want to be the man who doesn't just attract women but actually stays in their hearts long after the moment is gone, focus less on impressing and more on providing that rare emotional shelter. Be the man she doesn't have to explain herself to, the one she can simply be with. Because in the end, a woman may admire the confident man, but she craves the one who makes her feel emotionally safe. And that's the man she silently hopes will never walk away. One of the most underestimated cravings women carry deep within, but often won't voice, is the desire for mental stimulation. This goes beyond casual flirtation or witty banter. What women truly crave is a man who can reach them intellectually, challenge them without trying to dominate, and invite them into conversations that stir their curiosity, not just their emotions. You see, attraction isn't just physical. For a woman, it's layered. Her mind must be engaged before her heart feels safe, and her body responds more deeply when her thoughts are nourished. A man who can mentally stimulate a woman becomes a rare find in a world where surface-level connection is the norm. It's not about using big words or quoting philosophers. It's about being present in the conversation, asking questions that matter, and actually listening to the answer. Women crave to be seen not just for how they look, but for how they think. A mentally stimulating man doesn't seek to impress with knowledge. He inspires through curiosity. He challenges ideas respectfully. He doesn't just nod along, he brings new perspectives. And when he disagrees, he does so with grace, creating space for her to express herself more fully, not shut down in defense. In those moments, something powerful happens. Her guard lowers. She begins to engage more freely. She leans in, not just physically, but psychologically. That's when craving takes root, often silently and deeply. And here's something rarely spoken aloud. A woman will fantasize more about the man who engages her mind than the one who merely flatters her appearance. When a man speaks with clarity, passion, and intention, it creates a resonance, a frequency she feels. That resonance makes her think about you long after the conversation ends. It isn't about being right, it's about being real, being thoughtful, being present. This level of connection doesn't require formal settings. It can happen over coffee, in a car ride, even in late-night texts. What matters is the depth of your questions, the depth of your reflections, the depth of your willingness to be mentally open with her. When she senses that you value substance over show, something in her shifts. You become more than a man. You become a mirror to her own unspoken depth. That is intoxicating. And here's the truth. If you want to become unforgettable, don't just touch her body, touch her mind. Make her think. Make her question. Make her dream in new directions because of the way you speak life into ideas and into her. In a world full of noise, be the man who brings quiet, clarity, through thought, through dialogue, through presence. Because once you awaken a woman's mind, her desire will follow, not in noise, not in words, but in silence. And that kind of craving, the silent, intellectual pull, is the one she rarely escapes. There's something deeply psychological, almost primal, about a woman's response to emotional safety. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's potent. One of the hidden cravings women hold, yet rarely articulate, is the desire to feel emotionally safe around a man. Not controlled, not judged, not manipulated, but safe. And that safety isn't about protection in the physical sense. It's about being able to be fully herself. Flaws, fears, and all, without fearing rejection or ridicule. Now let's think about this from a deeper, more philosophical perspective. Every human being craves authenticity, but we live in a world that rewards masks. Women, in particular, are often conditioned to keep their emotional expressions in check, to not seem too needy, too emotional, or too much. But deep down, every woman desires a space where she can drop the performance and just be. A man who provides that space becomes a sanctuary, not just a partner. And that's rare. Emotional safety means you don't flinch when she opens up. You don't mock her for crying or make her feel weak for being vulnerable. You hold that space without trying to fix her. You let her feel. You let her speak. You let her be witnessed. And in that witnessing, she feels seen, heard, validated. Not because you agree with everything she says, but because you respect the depth of her emotional world. This creates a magnetic pull, because here's what most people miss. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she will offer more of herself. Her love deepens, her passion intensifies, her loyalty grows. Why? Because she's no longer guarding herself. Her feminine essence flourishes in a space of trust. She stops testing, stops second-guessing, and starts nurturing. That's the gateway to real intimacy, not just physical, but emotional and spiritual as well. But emotional safety isn't built by promises. It's built by consistency. Are you the same person when she's happy and when she's hurting? Do your words align with your actions? Do you make space for her perspective even when it challenges your ego? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary. Because a man who can regulate himself, especially in emotionally charged moments, becomes an anchor. And women crave anchors in a sea of emotional noise. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present. Present without agenda, present without pressure. Present with empathy, not apathy. And when she feels that presence, her desire won't show up in bold declarations. It will appear in the softness of her eyes, the way she relaxes around you, the way she trusts you with her truths. That's when you'll know she doesn't just like you, she craves the safety you bring into her life. So if you want to stir a woman's deepest, most sacred longing, become the calm in her chaos. Emotional safety isn't a skill, it's a mindset. And once you master it, you won't have to chase connection. It will find you, and it will stay. Another hidden craving women rarely express directly but feel deeply is the desire to be challenged intellectually and emotionally by a man who stands in his truth. Not aggressively, not combatively, but with presence, strength, and calm confidence. She may not tell you this, but a woman doesn't want a man who always agrees with her, or one who simply nods to avoid conflict. What she actually longs for is someone who can meet her in depth, someone whose mind and spirit provoke her to think, reflect, and grow. Think about this. In a world saturated with shallow interactions, surface-level compliments, and temporary attention, a man who can pierce through that noise with real depth becomes unforgettable. He doesn't need to dominate the room with loudness. His power is quiet but undeniable. He listens fully, speaks with intention, and when he disagrees, he does so with respect and clarity. He stands on the ground of his values, not the approval of others. That kind of masculine energy doesn't suppress her, it awakens her. This desire to be challenged isn't about conflict, it's about elevation. Women crave men who make them feel more, who raise the standards of the emotional and intellectual space they occupy. When she talks, do you really hear her? Can you challenge her assumptions, not to win an argument, but to help her unlock a broader perspective? When she pulls back, can you call out the pattern, not with judgment, but with curiosity and care? These are the subtleties that create emotional friction, the good kind, that deepens desire rather than diminishing it. And it's important to understand this. True challenge doesn't threaten, it inspires. It says, I see more in you, and I'm not afraid to mirror it back to you. This kind of interaction pushes both people to level up emotionally. It brings a richness that passive approval never could. That's when conversations become magnetic, and silences feel full instead of empty. But why do so few men do this? Because it takes inner work. You cannot challenge others in love unless you first challenge yourself in solitude. When your opinions are rooted in ego, your challenge will feel like control. But when they're rooted in truth, your challenge will feel like expansion. And women feel the difference, even if they don't have the language to name it. So here's the truth. If you want a woman to crave you, not just admire you or like you, but crave you, learn how to stand in quiet authority. Show her you're not here to control her, but you're also not here to be controlled. You are your own man, and you invite her to be her fullest self, not by submission, but by reflection. The man who can challenge a woman with love, who makes her think while also making her feel, becomes unforgettable. He stirs not just her heart, but her mind. And in that rare electric space, craving is born. There's something profoundly magnetic about a man who embodies emotional control, not cold attachment, but composed power. This isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending you don't care. It's about owning your emotions so fully that they don't own you. And here's the truth that many men overlook. Women crave this kind of energy, not because they want to be shut out, but because they feel deeply secure and aroused in the presence of a man who is not ruled. When a woman watches how you handle stress, setbacks, or even how you respond to her emotional waves, she's not just observing your behavior, she's subconsciously evaluating your capacity. Can this man lead himself, even when things are uncertain? Can he stay rooted when everything around him is in motion? If the answer is yes, she begins to crave you in a way that transcends logic. You become not just a source of attraction, but of grounding, and grounding is rare. Grounding is irresistible. Think of it like this. Emotions are like weather, constantly changing, unpredictable, sometimes stormy. But your emotional control is the stable ground beneath the storm. It doesn't mean you never react. It means your reactions are measured, they're intentional. That control communicates strength on a deep psychological level. It tells her you're not afraid of her feelings, and you're not afraid of your own. You don't escalate, you contain. Now here's where it becomes even more interesting. A woman might not admit it, but part of her desires to be tested by your emotional presence, not in a toxic or manipulative way, but in the sense that she wants to know, will you stay steady when I'm not? When you can respond with calm, not chaos, with direction, not drama, she finds herself drawn in. Not just attracted, but magnetized. This kind of presence takes discipline. It means you've done the work to face your own emotional patterns. You've learned to sit with discomfort instead of reacting to it. And you bring that maturity into every interaction, especially the ones that matter. The paradox is, the more in control you are of your inner world, the more open she becomes with hers. And that's where desire is born, not in dominance, but in discipline. Not in loud declarations, but in the quiet confidence of a man who knows who he is and doesn't need chaos to feel alive. A man like that doesn't chase validation, he radiates stability. And that energy is what women remember. That energy is what they return to. So if you want to be the kind of man a woman silently craves, master your emotions. Let your calm be louder than your anger, your clarity sharper than your pride. Because when you can hold your ground, not in arrogance, but in unwavering peace, you don't just attract her, you anchor her. And in a world full of noise, the man who brings peace becomes the man she never wants to let go of. One of the most underrated yet deeply magnetic traits a man can embody is purpose. And not just surface level ambition, not just saying you have goals, but the lived visible presence of a mission that defines your movements, your discipline, and your decisions. When a man is driven by something larger than the pursuit of approval, especially romantic approval, he becomes irresistible in a way that bypasses logic. Why? Because purpose creates polarity. It sets you apart. It places you in motion, and women are instinctively drawn to movement rooted in meaning. A man with purpose doesn't have to chase. His energy already carries weight. He doesn't beg for attention because he's focused on something greater. This focus becomes attractive not because it excludes her, but because it invites her into something bigger than small talk or emotional tug of war. She sees that your time, your thoughts, your energy, these aren't given away freely, they're aligned, and that alignment makes you rare. Now, this doesn't mean you're cold or inaccessible. In fact, it's the opposite. You're deeply present, but not aimless. And when a woman senses this, it triggers something ancient within her. Biologically and psychologically, she wants to be part of a man's world that is already moving forward. Not a man who pauses his life to be chosen, but one who invites her to join him if she can match the rhythm. That's the difference. It's important to understand. Women don't crave dominance, they crave direction, and purpose is what gives your actions direction. Without it, you become reactive, floating, changing with every emotional wave, hoping she'll give you a reason to feel alive. But with purpose, you're already alive. You've already chosen your path. And when she sees that, she doesn't want to lead you. She wants to walk beside you, quietly, willingly, sometimes even without realizing why. This is why a woman can fall for a man who's not the loudest, the richest, or the most conventionally attractive. But if he has clarity in who he is and what he's building, she feels it. She may never say it directly, but she feels safer, more intrigued, more magnetized by that energy than anything superficial. And even if she doesn't chase you in the traditional sense, she will keep coming back to that energy. Why? Because women don't crave stagnation, they crave elevation. And your purpose provides the latter. So if you truly want to be the kind of man a woman can't forget, don't focus on proving your worth to her. Focus on becoming a man who doesn't need to. Let your mission be your filter. Let your direction be your attraction. Because when your life speaks louder than your words and your actions echo deeper than compliments, she won't just notice you. She'll feel compelled to know you. In the end, remember this. A man anchored in purpose never begs for love, he invites it. And that invitation is one most women will silently crave, even if they never find the courage to admit it.